hate is on a rise. In India today, the simmering anger over repeated attacks on Hindus transformed into visible outrage and collective action. From Delhi to Kolkata, from Mumbai to Jammu, thousands of Hindus took to the streets across India. The message was clear that silence no longer is acceptable. The safety of Hindus in Bangladesh cannot be overlooked. Now, Deepu Das's killing isn't an isolated crime, but follows frequent instances of targeted violence against minorities across Bangladesh. And any excuses to somehow make this India's fault are falling flat. But despite repeated provocations from Yunus and other Islamic groups in Bangladesh, India, many believe, has been too muted. Yes, it has been clear in its statements, but not really seen to be taking any action. Has India's response then been sufficient? Diplomatic assurances have been offered before, concerns have been raised in bilateral meetings, yet violence and fear persist. So should New Delhi push harder? We'll take that up with our guest joining us in just a bit. But first up, I want to bring to you the pictures from earlier today. Hindus across India, but particularly in the national capital, were up in arms as they hit the streets, marching with placards, raising slogans, demanding justice for Deepu Das, calling for stronger action to protect religious minorities in Bangladesh. The demand is simple: save the Bangladeshi Hindus. The protests, mostly led by Hindu groups, including Vishwa Hindu Parishad, took place in multiple cities across the country. Angry protesters set Bangladesh interim chief Yunus's effigies on fire, even garlanded some of those pictures with shoes and chappals. But not just this, a group of lawyers in Jammu staged a protest against the attacks on minorities in Bangladesh too. Now, in some places, the angry protesters broke through barricades, they clashed with the security personnel. But these streets were brimming with anger and emotions, a collective appeal demanding justice for Deepu Das. Will it happen? It remains to be seen. Now, if the tale of Deepu Das being thrashed to death by a mob, stripped, then hung over a tree and burnt, all of this wasn't barbaric enough, traumatic enough. Now, these new videos have come to light which show his final moments. This is even more shocking, but frankly not surprising. This has happened before, even in India, when it came to Palghar sadhus, you would remember. Now, in this video that we've accessed, it is clear Deepu Das had protection at one point of time. He was begging, pleading for mercy. He kept claiming his innocence. Even the police now accepts they have no evidence of any blasphemy against it. And even if there was evidence, would this be justified? But remember, his cries fell on deaf ears. He's seen speaking to somebody on the phone. He's seen pleading with police officials repeatedly. But what happened next? And this is why Bangladesh as a country and as an administration is under question. The police that was tasked with the very responsibility of protecting him as a Bangladeshi citizen, mind you, looked away and they themselves handed him over to the mob. What followed next, you would have seen those visuals. They are too gory for us to play out here. Now, many in India are wondering, where is this defiance in Bangladesh coming from? For everything wrong in Bangladesh, they are blaming India, while also making provocative statements against Indian territorial integrity, for example, that Yunus has made in the past. So despite so much to answer for, Bangladesh suspended visa and consular services from India. Today, they summoned Indian envoy Pranay Verma over the protests that were happening against Deepu Das's killing. And let's not forget, while they blame India with no proof for Hadi's killings, there has been zero condemnation for Deepu Das's lynching and barbaric murder in the name of faith. Instead, excuses have been made for such behavior by blaming India and linking it to Hadi's killings. Now, while behavior of Bangladesh under Islamist control is predictable, what is also predictable is that some within India are also blaming India or what happens in India for Deepu Das's lynching. A more sorry excuse and justification for a mob lynching cannot be made, and one wonders what happens if you flip the script. Would then it be justified that there was retaliatory action in India after what happened in Mymensingh? This is nothing but a trend of making Hindus responsible, not just for secularism in India, but also in other countries where they exist, even if there are minorities there. This is nothing but a trend of blaming India just because the current government is not what you like. Bangladesh's hate is against India, so why are some within India unable to stand for their own country? Is it only because victims are Hindus in this case? Listen into what two Congress leaders have said, making justifications for Deepu Das's lynching.
देखिए, बांग्लादेश में जब से इस प्रकार का जो आंदोलन होकर सरकार बदली है, वहाँ वो सारे तत्व हैं जो कि धार्मिक उन्माद फैलाकर राजनीति करते हैं, जिनका विरोध शेख हसीना करती थी, जिनका विरोध शेख मुजीब साहब ने किया था। ये जो हालात हमारे देश में हैं, यहाँ वही धर्मांध फैलाने वाले कट्टरपंथी ताकतें जो हैं, जिस प्रकार से अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय के खिलाफ जो कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं, वही रिएक्शन वहाँ पर उस प्रकार का हो रहा है। हम बांग्लादेश में जो हमारे हिंदू भाइयों के साथ हो रहा है, ईसाइयों के साथ हो रहा है, उसकी घोर निंदा करते हैं।
दिग्विजय जी ने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा है। बांग्लादेश के अंदर कट्टरपंथियों की सरकार आ गई है। भारत के अंदर भी कट्टरपंथियों की सरकार आ गई है। वहाँ पर हिंदुओं पर जुल्म हो रहा है, मंदिरों को तोड़ने की बात हो रही है। भारत के अंदर मस्जिदों पर हमला हो रहा है, घरों पर मुसलमानों के बुलडोज़र चलाया जा रहा है। यहाँ भी कट्टरपंथी एक समुदाय के खिलाफ काम कर रहे हैं, सरकार काम कर रही है। बांग्लादेश के अंदर भी यही हो रहा है। मुझे लगता है कि दिग्विजय जी ने जो कुछ कहा है उसके अंदर कहीं कोई गलत बात नहीं है।
What compels some in India to continue to blame India and Indian Hindus even for what happens to Bangladeshi Hindus in Bangladesh? But our focus will also be on whether the Indian state has responded appropriately or sufficiently. In the face of this barbarism emanating from Dhaka, has India's response been sufficient? That's coming up with our guests.
अगर हिंदू सुरक्षित नहीं है, वहाँ सब भारत हिंदुस्तान, पूरा देश हिंदुस्तान ये नहीं बर्दाश्त करेगा।
मैं तो मैसेज यही करना चाहूँगी बांग्लादेश को, जो हमारे हिंदुओं को वहाँ पे सुरक्षित नहीं है तो वो यहाँ पे भेज दे, और हिंदुओं को मारने की उनको कोई जरूरत नहीं है। इस प्रोडक्शन में वो ना आए और इस तरीके की बातों को बिल्कुल ना करे।
See, it's a dead of humanity I speak. It's not about the religion and all. At least the humanity should be there.
आपको गुस्सा है बांग्लादेश में जो हिंदुओं के खिलाफ जो हो रहा है? आज आप
बहुत ज़्यादा गुस्सा, बहुत ही ज़्यादा कौन बोल रहा है।
क्या मांग करते हैं गवर्नमेंट से?
गवर्नमेंट से हम मांग करते हैं कि इस पे के ऊपर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, बहुत सख्त कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
वहाँ पे हत्याएं हो रही हैं, बच्चों की हत्याएं हो रही हैं। एक नौजवान को पेड़ से लटका के उन्होंने जिंदा जला दिया, तो ये इंसानियत नहीं है, ये इनह्यूमन है। वो
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Veena Sikri is former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Kanchan Gupta, Senior Advisor of the INB Ministry in India. And also Mohammad Ali Arafat is former Information Minister of Bangladesh with us. Veena Sikri, I begin with you. Many in India wondering, why is India being so soft, if I can use that term, to Bangladesh? Why is India not using its position to come down a little bit harder, given that this is only going from bad to worse? In Bangladesh, they're making excuses for what's happening. They're only blaming India for what's happening. And on the other hand, they are acting as if they are on a higher moral ground here by summoning the Indian envoy.
I think India has used a great deal of strategic restraint in dealing with Bangladesh. We have said from the beginning that we're prepared to continue the economic cooperation, and we haven't restricted the trade of goods which the people of Bangladesh use. We strongly believe that India and Bangladesh have a very strong people-to-people relationship, so we don't want to bring in anything that will harm the people of Bangladesh. But let me tell you that there is not only serious concern, but there is actually, as you've seen today, there's popular upheaval against the religion-based killing that has been used in Bangladesh right from the very beginning, from 5th of August onwards.
Yes.
Actually, right from the minute that Sheikh Hasina's plane left Bangladesh, two things came into action immediately. One was the destruction of every memory of the 1971 Liberation War. So, statues of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, all the buildings, anything associated, his house even has come under complete destruction, the museum, the place where he lived. It's terrible to see that. Second thing was attacks on minorities. Right from the 5th of August onwards, the attacks on minorities, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Sufis, and Ahmadiyas, all of them have been under complete attack, and there is an attempt, like in 1971, to push them out of the country. And I think that India has taken it up, has spoken about it. In fact, let me recall to you that Prime Minister Modi's first message to Dr. Mohammed Yunus on the 8th of August, felicitating Mohammed Yunus and talking about economic cooperation, spoke about this. And he spoke about the condition of minorities, because even in those 4 days, between the 5th of August and the 8th of August, the rise in atrocities, the rise in the rapes and the lynchings and the killings, and the grabbing of property and destruction of businesses, all that had happened even in those 4 days, and it's continued ever since. So Prime Minister Modi has raised it even at that time.
But ma'am, things have changed dramatically, and they're only going from bad to worse, as I said. You talked about strategic restraint. I understand that we have a relationship with Bangladesh, and we don't want to, throw it out. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But the current administration also needs to be sent a message. So even if there are temporary actions that India needs to take, now is the time. What are we waiting for? Because this administration, apart from action, not taking action against barbarism against minorities in Bangladesh, they have made statements against India's territorial integrity. What are we waiting for? At least tell this administration that you can't do business with India like this.
Look, first of all, I think we have to understand the Pakistan is in charge there with Jamaat-e-Islami. They are trying to be deliberately provocative. You have to understand that. They're trying to be deliberately provocative. Perhaps they want to provoke a reaction from India, which will, but let me tell you that taking everything into account, I think, let me give you a specific example. I've already given you one example of what Prime Minister Modi's message was.
Yes.
Secondly, a few days ago, when the moment Osman Hadi was shot at, within the Indian High Commissioner was called in and told, India that blame and the person has run away, etc., etc. Of course, we vigorously refuted that, and the Bangladesh High Commissioner was called in Delhi and told so. But yesterday, you saw the result of that. You saw the result that the meeting chaired by Mohammed Yunus, the Home Advisor, informed publicly that there is no evidence that the killer went to India. In fact, they don't know who the killer is. So that correction was obviously because of that. I'm trying to give you an explanation of it's not that the action is not there. But at the same time, I also want to tell you that the situation is going out of control in Bangladesh to such an extent that the Inkilab Munch, whose leader Osman Hadi was, they are now objecting to Mohammed Yunus.
No, I get that. But all of that is frankly Bangladesh's internal business, even if India would have some concerns. Kanchan Gupta, can I bring you in on this? Do you believe the sentiment amongst Indians is correct to a certain extent, where we feel that, it's not just Bangladesh. In the past, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, all of our, neighborhood countries, much smaller in size, in stature, they keep, making provocative actions against India or even Hindus. And India just, seemingly continues to be in strategic restraint mode. Why?
Good evening. Thank you for having me over here on this show. A very quick response. Look, India has to be mindful of, in the case of Bangladesh, India has to be mindful of the fact that nearly anything between 8 to 9% of the population in Bangladesh comprises Hindus. So you cannot, any precipitate action which you take, or if you are seen to be taking any action which can be deemed to be provocative, they will set their thugs, they will set their goons on those hapless Hindus who are woefully outnumbered over there. We have seen what can happen at a collective level in the immediate aftermath of the fall of the Hasina government. It was an elected government which was forced out of office by street thuggery. The immediate fallout was a sustained series of attacks on the Hindu community over there. When a leading monk tried to protest against the atrocities, he was arrested and he's still in custody. I mean, his bail applications are routinely denied. We have a huge mammoth amount of documentation of attacks on Hindus, attacks on Christians, attacks on Buddhists, attacks on animists. And all that documentation is available in the public domain. The Bangladesh government, or what passes, I mean, I wouldn't use the word government, the Yunus regime, they were forced to acknowledge sometime in February this year that yes, they have received those reports, and they now have a confirmation for some 150 odd attacks, and more confirmations are coming in, and that was the end. After that, they refused to concede that Hindus or minorities are under attack. What Yunus did was that whenever he goes abroad, he makes this case that, oh, everything is fine in Bangladesh, and all that stuff which you read about Hindus being clobbered, or Buddhist chakmas being raped, or you read about Christians under attack. These are all lies, and these lies are perpetuated by the Indian media. So he refuses to even acknowledge that he has a very real problem on hand. And the latest incident of Deepu Das being lynched, and then his body being strung up on a tree and being set on fire in a public square. He can't obviously deny that this happened.
He hasn't condemned it either.
Sorry?
He hasn't condemned it either.
No, he hasn't condemned it. And if you notice, if you go back and see his first address to the nation, he doesn't even call for restraint.
Yes.
He doesn't even say that, please do not do this, and this. So, and then subsequently, there have been news reports out of Bangladesh that the Yunus regime feels that getting the police to act, if they get the police to act, then it will rebound on them, and that Yunus and his team will be seen as pro-Hindu and pro-India and all that.
No, but
and the saddest part, Shivani, the saddest part is the US embassy in Dhaka has condemned Hadi's killing,
but not Deepu Das's murder.
The EU mission over there has condemned it. The UN High Commission for Refugees has condemned it. You have the French embassy in Dhaka, which has condemned it. And imagine the UN High Commission, the UN Human Rights Commission takes up a single killing to issue a statement. How many other killings happened the same day in the world, which should have been condemned? But did the UN Human Rights Commission even mention those? And none of these worthies, the American embassy, the EU mission, the French embassy, the UN Human Rights Commission, they made it a point to remain silent on the attacks on Hindus.
Why do you think so?
Specifically the killing.
Why do you think so? But why?
Oh, it doesn't suit their purpose, and we know why it doesn't suit their purpose. But hence, it becomes all the more important for India at the official level to maintain restraint. India has done it very well. I mean, if they have crossed the red line, we have summoned their High Commissioner in Delhi to read out the riot act to him, and we shall continue to do that. But beyond the point, people must understand that the government cannot manipulate or control or hold back popular sentiments. The massive protest you saw in Delhi today by Hindu organizations, most notably the VHP. There were protests in Kolkata outside the Deputy High Commissioner's office. There have been protests by the tribals of Tripura, led by the Tripura Motha in Agartala, and they have come out in the streets. There have been protests in Jharkhand by tribals over there. Across the country.
Yes, I get that. But you talk, both of you, Veena Sikri and you, both of you are talking about that we need strategic restraint, and there's almost an understanding that the Hindu population,
Shivani, you can't have a situation in your hand where they purposefully turn the mobs onto 8%, 9% of the population. They are totally unsecured. There is no security provided to them. Between Deepu Das's lynching and even as we speak, there have been 2 massive attacks on Hindu localities over there. In one, they tried to set the homes on fire while the
Kanchanda,
Hindus were
I am
still
in agreement with you. My point is, I want to pinpoint this for our viewers, and Veena Sikri ma'am has to leave, so I want to give this an opportunity to her. Clearly, the Hindu population in Bangladesh, who are Bangladeshis, mind you, these are not Indians, but they are Hindu. They are being used as hostage in this situation because, as all of you seem to agree, that if India does anything more, it is those Hindus who are Bangladeshis who will have to pay the price. Now, I am saying, Veena Sikri, this is a larger long-term issue for us. We cannot have countries in our neighborhood who are, yes, partitioned out of India, use Hindu population as some sort of leverage to cock a snook at us.
No, I think, no, that's not correct at all. We are not using Hindu population. We are very clear that the rights of the Hindus, the rights of...
No, I'm saying Bangladesh is using Hindu population in Bangladesh as some sort of, leverage. As Kanchanda is saying, if India does anything more, then those Hindus will have to pay the price.
No, it's not a question of doing anything more. It's always a graduated response. It's not that we have not conveyed. We have conveyed, when our Prime Minister has conveyed even on the 8th of August, you can imagine that it is right at the top of the priority. But how you follow up on that, it has been that we've been talking to them, it's not happened. You've seen today the result. That for 1 year there's been, we've been using that strategic restraint. But now look at the people's anger is boiling over. But I want to also say one more thing, that the Hindus, the younger generation who are there today, they have made it very clear that they will not leave. It's not like they, in fact, tell their old parents, oh, you left in 1971, etc. But they want to be there. And they say, we are citizens of this country, we want our rights. So I think one very important aspect is, no matter who the government in Bangladesh is, the rights of the minorities, all the minorities, whether it's the Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, even the Muslim minorities like Sufis and Ahmadiyas,
yes,
minority rights is very important, and assuring us that is very important for us. In fact, Chinmoy Das had given a very simple 8-point demand to the Unrest regime, saying that this is what the minority communities want. Creating a fund for each of the minorities, Buddhist fund, Christian fund, Hindu fund, having a minority ministry so that all problems can be looked after in the ministry. Very simple things. And this is the kind of thing that every country has, we have, other countries have, where you want to make sure that the rights of the minorities
I get that. My only troubling aspect is that it seems that India's hands are tied, because if we do anything more, even if we cut, for example, a percentage of the trade or any other economic action, then Hindus in Bangladesh will have to pay the price. And I am saying that's a larger long-term issue for us. Already
Shivani,
there are
you
voices...
Are right. Shivani, you are right, but let me also add to what Ms. Veena Sikri just now explained to you. Yes, any government's a responsible government's response is always graded. It is not a maximalist position from day one. It begins from a minimalist position and it moves inches towards the maximalist position.
Okay.
That is what differentiates a responsible government from an irresponsible regime.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the government of India's policy on this issue has been made very abundantly clear by the Modi government that Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Sikhs, Jains, all the designated minorities in these neighboring countries, whether Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, they are considered as a larger moral responsibility of India, because India is, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you agree to it or not, India is the only and the natural homeland of Hindus around the world.
Yes.
So, and a last point which I want to make, because I also got to leave soon, I was watching on your channel the absurd statement made by Digvijay Singh.
Yes, I was going to come to that. Yes.
Taking note of it. I mean, here is a man who, after 26/11, he came out with the absurd proposition that it was a RSS ki sajish. And he now comes forward and says that because of what's happening to Muslims over here, Hindus are getting clobbered in Bangladesh. What is happening to Muslims over here? Which Muslim has been lynched over here because of which a Hindu has been lynched in Bangladesh?
No, that cannot be a justification at all, because if that is a justification, then more reprisal can happen in India.
I mean, these people don't realize, apart from the fact that Digvijay Singh is inflicting massive damage to the Congress, in Assam where elections are due, in West Bengal where elections are due. I mean, he has been doing this consistently. He has been ensuring that the Congress digs itself further into a grave. I have nothing to say about that. That is between him and the Congress. But this is an insult. This is basically a humiliation being piled on Hindus in India and elsewhere.
No, as I said, Kanchana, I agree with you. Hindus are made responsible for secularism and protecting secularism in India, and now they're also responsible for protecting secularism in Bangladesh. That argument cannot be bought. But Mr. Arafat has been waiting with us. I just want to go to him very quickly because he brings the Bangladeshi view, even though, of course, his party, the Awami Party, has been outcasted. But Mr. Arafat, I want to begin by asking you, everything that is happening in Bangladesh, there seems to be a certain amount of defiance amongst this Unrest administration. Today, they summoned the Indian envoy over the protest in India, for example. They haven't condemned Deepu Das's killing. I want to understand from you, where is this defiance coming from? Why are they not answerable to India for what is this anti-India hate on the streets today?
Yeah, thank you for your question. The answer is very simple. Because, first of all, Yunus government, they have no mandate. They are not elected government, so they have no accountability whatsoever. Secondly, this government is backed by the Islamist forces, the same radical Islamists who actually, the same group of people who collaborated with the Pakistani back in 1971. So now this generation that you see, the radical Islamists, they're basically the descendant of those, ideological descendant of those Razakars, the collaborators. So back in those days in 1971, they collaborated with Pakistani army and fought against us, our own freedom fighters, when Indian army were fighting with us shoulder to shoulder. So eventually when they defeated, and they had to concede defeat and they had to surrender. So they could not yet, accept that defeat. Because of that, they still have this anti-Indian sentiment within themselves. And they're against Awami League, against India, against Daily Star and Protham Alo, anything liberal and progressive, or anything that holds the values of 1971. Or even Chayanot or Utichi, the cultural centers, just think about it. I mean, why do they have the grudges against all of this? They're attacking the shrines, not only Hindu temples. They're attacking the Ahmadiyya community. So you can see a pattern of their attack on the target. Anything that represents humanity, liberal politics, progressiveness, 1971 liberation values, they are going against it. Because they are the radical Islamist, they are the descendant of the collaborators, and Yunus is backed by these people. As simple as that.
Thanks for saying that, because there are some who are trying to make an argument that because something happens in India, that's why this is happening. Because what is happening in Bangladesh is not just against Hindus, it is against the ideal on which Bangladesh was established. They're harking back to the pre-1971 era. They're even against their own icons. So do you buy this argument, Mr. Arafat, that some are making in Bangladesh and in India, that because some lynchings happened in India against minorities, this is why Deepu Das was lynched in Bangladesh?
These are the kind of excuses I think are very evil. Because just because, some wrongdoings are happening somewhere else, you need to, if you can condemn that and try to fix it. But as a justification of that, you try to do the similar thing, even worse something somewhere else. It simply doesn't make sense. No sane mind will accept this kind of illogic, So I don't believe that. This is not what it is. The basic thing is the radical Islamists has taken over the country, and they're basically the anti-71 pro-Pakistani group. But they're minority, they're not majority. But the thing is, they're the loudest and the angriest crowd. Rest of the people are peace-loving. They're like kind of having been, held hostage by this loudest and angriest radical Islamists, unfortunately. Because they're terrorists, they're anarchists, they're violent. So the rest of the people actually cannot do anything, unfortunately, So this is the reason why all these things are happening.
Can I just mention that there has been now a very belated addressal and condemnation of Deepu Das's killing. I'm reading a tweet by the Mohammed Yunus administration, the chief advisor of the government, which reads that the office of the chief advisor expresses its profound sorrow over the recent killing of factory worker Deepu Chandra Das, extends its deepest condolences. On behalf of the government, education advisor Professor C.R. Abrar visited the family on Tuesday to convey the government's sympathy and assuring of support. The interim government reiterates that this killing was a heinous criminal act with no justification and no place in Bangladesh society. Allegations, rumors or differences of belief can never excuse violence, and no individual has the right to take the law into their hands. Kanchan Gupta, you want to react to this very quickly? Some belated condemnation.
It is too little too late. This is because obviously everybody is now condemning the silence of the Yunus regime. They are condemning the fact that Yunus chose not to even utter a word of condemnation or consolation. And the fact that it was the local police which handed over the man to the mob waiting outside the police station, it just that by itself is loud. I mean, it talks loudly enough about what the Yunus regime thinks about Hindus in that country.
Okay.
Now, that apart, let me just add to what Rafat said just now. One of the strong traditions and a shared tradition between East and West Bengal was the Lalan Fakir tradition. And it is something which is very strongly held by people across the river, on both sides of the river. And the Islamists have now started attacking the followers of the Lalan tradition. And that is, they are basically folk singers. We call them bowls. And bowls are being attacked, their shows are being attacked, they are not being allowed to perform. I think the leading bowl of Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken, has been arrested and put in jail by the Yunus regime. And then Yunus comes out and says, I condemn, I do this. Of course not. I mean, this condemnation is meaningless. His administration or his regime is complicit in what is happening over there. His police is complicit in what is happening over there. The fact that he did not insist that the police should crack down on attackers on Hindus is evident from the fact that between the lynching of Dipu Das and today, this evening, there were two massive attacks on Hindu areas. He did nothing to stop them or to prevent them or to save them.
No, the point is that it's, nobody can believe that this is happening because people are just out of control. There could be that element as well. But it was your responsibility as the interim chief to make sure that minorities were protected. I have limited time, so last question to Mr. Arafat. As Kanchanda also mentioned earlier, there is a belated condemnation now. But overall, all of these embassies in Dhaka, none of them mentioned Dipu Das's killing. Are you disappointed that in today's Bangladesh, this brutal, barbaric killing of a man, even if he had said anything blasphemous, it was not justified? It's another matter that there is no proof against him, that this lynching and killing invited no condemnation?
Yes, of course. I mean, I've seen this. I was very surprised to see that, the diplomatic community in Dhaka, they did not issue any statement whatsoever. Even many of the Awami League activists are being killed in the police custody and in many other places. Even a few days back, 3 days in a row, 3 different of our people, they got killed. One was hacked to death, another was slaughtered in the public, publicly, and one got killed in the police custody. They're not saying anything whatsoever, as if everything is fine, it's all good to happen. And with this case of lynching, I mean, there's no condemnation. They're issuing statement for Osman Hadi.
Exactly.
I understand, and that is fine. But why not about this poor guy who did nothing but got attacked by this, violent mob, and just, such brutally he got killed. I mean, where is the humanity? It looks like all those people got dehumanized and totally desensitized. I don't understand this. I mean, so they're being very, very hypocritical, in my opinion.
Yes. And I hope India doesn't forget that. But I do thank both of our guests for joining us on our top story today. Moving on, the Congress party finds itself as a crossroads, and the timing could not be more striking. On one hand, Rahul Gandhi is on an anti-India tirade again, this time overseas in Berlin. On the other hand, a quieter yet significant churn is taking shape within the Congress itself in India. Across party corridors, whispers suggesting a shift in leadership are growing louder. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is increasingly being spoken of as a potential prime ministerial candidate. Has Rahul Gandhi then lost the confidence of his own party? While leadership within the Congress has always been a matter of debate since 2014, the Gandhis continue to be a fulcrum for the party. But within the first family too, there are clearly different camps and divergent views within the hierarchy of who could be the better sibling to handle the party forward. It appears Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has found support even from their opponents. In an interview while speaking about the Chai Pe Charcha session following the winter session of Parliament, Union Minister Kiran Rijiju appreciated Priyanka over Rahul, saying that she is slightly more pleasant to deal with when it comes to exchange of views and ideas, and also listens to the other side. This, he said, he had personally observed of her. So the question remains is this: is Priyanka really a better bet than Rahul Gandhi for Congress? Here's why many believe so, and we'll get you those voices who seem to suggest this today. Priyanka carries fewer electoral liabilities and is seen as a potential reset, while Rahul is closely associated with sustained electoral losses and shrinking party footprint. Priyanka is generally seen as relatable, more relatable perhaps than Rahul, better at articulating her viewpoints. Unlike Rahul, Priyanka doesn't attack the country when overseas, keeps her criticism very focused, thereby giving no opportunity to the BJP to label her as anti-national. She's also been consistently visible recently and engaged in parliament and party affairs, while Rahul, even though he's the LOP, is often seen missing in action. Priyanka is even considered more accessible by party leaders to engage with, while Rahul has faced criticism in the past as being distant and unapproachable. So, as Priyanka as PM clamour goes, is Rahul losing confidence of the party? That's coming up.
प्रियंका गांधी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाइए ना, फिर देखिए कैसे जवाब देती है इंदिरा गांधी की तरह।
I think she has a bright future in politics, and I think bright future in changing what is required, and I think this will happen in time. It's inevitable.
राहुल गांधी को ना अब जनमत हासिल है, ना संगत हासिल है, ना समर्थने जनपद हासिल है।
Let's go across to our guest. Joining us with me is Shazia Ilmi, national spokesperson of the BJP, Salman Soz of the Congress party, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, follows the Congress very closely, and Acharya Pramod Krishnam, who was former Congress leader, considered to be close to the Congress party, is also with us. And I want to begin with him. Acharya ji, आपने देखा होगा आज इमरान मसूद ने ये बयान दिया है कि अगर प्रियंका गांधी होती पीएम तो बांग्लादेश में जो हो रहा है वो नहीं होता। तो इंटरेस्टिंग बात इसमें ये है कि उन्होंने राहुल गांधी का नाम नहीं लिया, जो एलओपी है, पार्टी का फेस है, उन्होंने प्रियंका गांधी के बारे में बात किया है। तो क्या आप मानते हैं कि कांग्रेस में ऐसे बहुत से लोग हैं, बहुत से लीडर्स हैं जो प्रियंका को बेटर लीडर मानते हैं पार्टी के लिए?
शिवानी, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात यह है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी के अंदर सभी नेता ये जानते हैं कि राहुल गांधी फेल हो चुके हैं। राहुल गांधी का कैंप भी जानता है कि राहुल गांधी को 2014, 2017, 2019, 2022 और अभी जो चुनाव हुए उनमें पब्लिक ने नकार दिया। यहाँ तक कि पूरे विपक्ष ने उनको अपना नेता बनाया और पूरा विपक्ष उनकी लीडरशिप में चुना गया। ये बात कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी जानती है, कांग्रेस का पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड जानता है, कांग्रेस के सारे प्रदेश कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष जानते हैं, पूरी ऑल इंडिया कांग्रेस कमेटी जानती है, इवन राहुल गांधी का जो कैंप है वो भी जानता है। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो कोई प्रियंका गांधी का नाम देगा वो राहुल गांधी कैंप के निशाने पे आ जाएगा और उसको सजा दी जाएगी, और उसको सजा मिली है। ये आरपीएन सिंह का जाना, जितिन प्रसाद का जाना, ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया का जाना, माई सेल्फ ऑल्सो, मैंने 2-3 बार ये बात कही थी। उदयपुर चिंतन शिविर हुआ था, तो उदयपुर चिंतन शिविर में पॉलिटिकल अफेयर्स कमेटी का मैं भी मेंबर था और उसमें शशि थरूर भी थे, उसमें गुलाम नबी आज़ाद साहब थे, खुद सोनिया जी थी, जनार्दन द्विवेदी थे। तो उसमें मैंने ये बात उठाई थी कि अगर राहुल गांधी की लीडरशिप में पार्टी डे बाय डे कमजोर हो रही है तो भाई लीडरशिप बदल। कांग्रेस की कमान सबसे ज्यादा लोकप्रिय नेता प्रियंका गांधी है कांग्रेस का हर वर्कर मानता है। तो मैंने ये आवाज उठा दी, उसका नतीजा देखा कि मुझे कांग्रेस से बाहर होना पड़ा। प्रियंका गांधी चाहती थी कि सचिन पायलट चीफ मिनिस्टर बनाए जाएं। प्रियंका गांधी चाहती थी कि राम मंदिर के निमंत्रण को नहीं ठुकराया जाए।
Really?
तो ये बात जो इमरान मसूद कह रहे हैं वो बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं उनकी एक बात से सहमत नहीं हूं कि वो कह रहे हैं कि अगर प्रियंका गांधी प्राइम मिनिस्टर होती तो ये तो बाद की बात करें ना। पहले ये तो सोचो कि इमरान मसूद को ये कहना चाहिए कि कांग्रेस की कमान प्रियंका गांधी को सौंप दी जाए।
Interesting what you're saying. I'll come back to you, Acharya Pramod Krishna. Just stay with me. Salman Soos, time to move on. Has Rahul Gandhi already been given too long a rope and he hasn't really delivered the results?
I think that is what the BJP and the BJP's friends might be, spreading. But as far as I can tell you, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are inseparable. They are together in this fight against the BJP and the RSS, and there are no two views about this. As far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, he's our leader. He's the leader of the party. Kharge ji is the president of the party, and Priyanka ji is our general secretary, senior leader, our vociferous communicator, and both in parliament and outside. But anybody who says that Rahul Gandhi has not done anything for the Congress, I think they're mistaken. In fact, let me just tell those people in the BJP, when your prime ministerial candidate, his winning margin in Uttar Pradesh went from 5 lakh votes to 1,50,000 votes. Some people say that he was even losing the election. Our leader doubled the margin compared to him in 2 constituencies in India, South and North, including in Uttar Pradesh. Okay? So those who say that, and by the way, it was under his leadership. If he had not led us through the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and I was with him in Kashmir, by the way, walking with him, and Priyanka Gandhi was walking with Rahul Gandhi in Kashmir, and thousands upon thousands of people came out. It was that yatra that led to the revival of the Congress party around the country. That is what happened in Lok Sabha. In the same Lok Sabha election, where the BJP ultimately did not make it to its majority mark on its own. When they said 400 par, they were, we were basically looking at almost like a 200 par ki party. So
fair enough.
We don't want any kind of advice from BJP and its acolytes.
Imran Masood is hardly a BJP member or a BJP acolyte. But I'll take what you're saying. I want to go to Rashid Kidwai very quickly. So then, was it a Freudian slip of sorts by Imran Masood?
No, sorry. Let me just on Imran Masood also.
Yes.
Let me just say, Imran Masood is one member among millions of people in the Congress party, and even he said later on in his statement that is not what he meant at all. But if he did say it, let me just say, as a Congress spokesperson, Congress members are free to express their views. We don't kind of circumscribe their views. We don't. By the way, this is not the BJP. The Congress party is not the BJP and the RSS. We let our people speak. It's his personal opinion. But even then, after I've just seen a statement saying that he that is not what he meant. So
fair enough. But that's why I'm saying, was it a Freudian slip of sorts, Rashid Kidwai? Is it untrue to say that there is a sense amongst the Congress cadre that they need to look beyond Rahul Gandhi? They don't always agree or see eye to eye with the way he leads the Congress party, the issues he picks up?
So Shivani, there are 2 things. First of all, I think in comparison is a thief of joy. So you cannot be comparing Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi. They are 2 different political entities, and Priyanka Gandhi considers Rahul Gandhi, as she says, my leader. So the issue of leadership is well settled in the Congress party. Shivani, I am yet to come across, and my very dear friend and respected friend Acharya Pramod ji is here. Would he vote for the Congress, he or Shazia Ilmi, just because Priyanka Gandhi becomes a Congress leader or a prime ministerial candidate? The answer is no. So therefore, I think people are voting on the ideological basis. There are a lot of things come in. I think if Gandhi family is a issue or a non-issue for a voter, and it is a very significant part. The Gandhi family Shivani would come in picture if the Congress manages to get at least half of 272. Ideally, they should be getting 272 seats under their leadership, but at least half of it. We don't see that, chances of that in the
But we
immediate
wouldn't
future.
know if you didn't give Priyanka a chance. I mean, that's the argument here. Rahul has kind of been the head of affairs for a long time. You wouldn't know whether Priyanka Gandhi can swing voters to the Congress party unless she gets the opportunity.
So there is a way that's a process, a democratic process. It is for the Congress people to decide it. It is not for Mr. Acharya Pramod Krishnan or Shazia Ilmi to decide who should be the leader of the Congress.
This is not about the BJP at all. This is only because Imran Masood said so. Then Robert Vadra comes out and says...
Mr. Imran Masood has said a lot of things about Honorable Prime Minister. Would any BJP person endorse what Imran Masood had said about Prime Minister?
No, not at all. But I want to go across to BJP on this because Robert Vadra also came out and said, see, this is a natural process. She has learnt a lot from her grandmother, I guess from her mother as well, father. And it's a natural process. It's an inevitability, he says, Robert Vadra. How do you look at this? I don't want to suggest at all that there's any rivalry between the siblings. They're obviously mutually very much together. But there's clearly some perception, outwardly and inwardly, that congressmen prefer Priyanka over the inanities of Rahul Gandhi sometimes.
So this is not BJP's point of view, and neither do I have any locus on this subject that I would have views as to who Congress would choose to lead as a prime minister face or what have you. But let's look at Rahul's record for a change. And I want to just concentrate on that. And I don't even know whether in his place, if Priyanka Gandhi had been there, would it have been any different? Because I also remember when Priyanka Gandhi took charge of Uttar Pradesh, she didn't do a great job either. So I don't know about that. But let's see, in 2014, Congress governed how many states? 11. As of now, how many? 3 states. Karnataka, Telangana and Himachal. Marginally Himachal, they won. So it's been wiped out or totally marginalized. You look at UP, you look at Bihar, you look at Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, Punjab, how did they look at how the party is running? Look at even now, just before the elections, look what happened last time why Captain Amrinder left. So, and there's an organizational decline. So, the total number of Congress MLAs have literally half of what the number was in the last decade.
But in the last elections, they also improved, as Salman Soos pointed out.
No, and also whether are strong state-level leaders or management or organization or basic aspiration. Do you know something? I want to bring it to your notice. Rahul Gandhi, since 2015, has made 247 trips abroad. Many of them considered personal. Many of course, to suit the Soros ecosystem. But who does this? Does he come across as a serious player? He's an LOP. And as somebody said that, the entire opposition plays their fate in his hands.
Okay.
What did Uddhav Thackeray have to say today itself? You heard what Uddhav Thackeray said. Nobody takes Congress seriously.
And is that Rahul Gandhi's fault then? Can I bring in Acharya Pramod one more time? आपने भी जैसे आपने कहा कि आपने भी आवाज उठाई थी कांग्रेस में, तो ऐसा क्यों है कांग्रेस में कि राहुल गांधी को इतने मौके दे दिए गए हैं लेकिन प्रियंका गांधी की तरफ नहीं देखा जाता? आप क्यों मानते हैं कि ऐसा क्यों है? या आपको लगता है कि इवेंचुअली अब उन्होंने इलेक्टोरल पॉलिटिक्स में कदम रखा है? पहले तो वो इलेक्शंस ही नहीं लड़ती थी, अब उन्होंने रखा है तो अब ये नेचुरल है, एज रॉबर्ट वाड्रा सेज, इनएविटेबल है कि उनको भी मौका मिलेगा आगे जाके?
शिवानी, लीडर बनने के लिए इलेक्शन लड़ना जरूरी नहीं है। पार्लियामेंट्रियन होने के लिए इलेक्शन लड़ना जरूरी है, संसद में पहुंचना जरूरी है। लीडर बनने के लिए महात्मा गांधी सबसे बड़े लीडर थे लेकिन किसी सदन के सदस्य नहीं थे। सुभाष चंद्र बोस कितने बड़े लीडर थे। ऐसे ही चंद्रशेखर जी कितनी बार जो है संसद में पहुंचे लेकिन कभी मिनिस्टर भी नहीं बने, सीधे प्रधानमंत्री बने। नरेंद्र मोदी जी लीडर थे, चुनाव नहीं लड़े थे लेकिन उन्हें सीधा गुजरात का चीफ मिनिस्टर बनाया गया और आज तक देश की जनता के दिलों पे वो राज कर रहे हैं। 3-3 बार उन्हें देश की जनता ने चुना। तो लीडर होना अलग बात है और पार्टी का प्रेसिडेंट होना अलग बात है। तो पार्टी का जो सिस्टम है, जो अंदरूनी सिस्टम है, उस पर राहुल गांधी जी का कब्जा है और राहुल गांधी जी के जितने सलाहकार हैं, जितने उनकी कोटरी के लोग हैं, उनमें ज्यादातर लोग वो हैं जो वामपंथी विचारधारा से प्रभावित हैं। वो किसी भी ऐसे व्यक्ति को कांग्रेस की कमान सौंपना नहीं चाहते जो थोड़ा सा दक्षिणपंथी विचारधारा
सेंट्रल
का
व्यू के हो।
समर्थन करता हो, ये एक दूसरी प्रॉब्लम है। उन्हें लगता है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार आओ या मत आओ, कांग्रेस पे हमारा कब्जा रहना चाहिए। कांग्रेस पे हमारा कब्जा तब तक रहेगा जब तक एक अयोग्य नेता कांग्रेस का नेता रहेगा। राहुल गांधी जी को जमीनी हकीकत पता नहीं है, उन्हें जमीनी हकीकत नहीं पता है, ये बात उनके सलाहकारों को पता है। प्रियंका गांधी का जो सिक्स सेंस है और जो उनका जो विजन है, वो मैं उनके साथ मैंने काम किया है, वो आदमी को बहुत अच्छी तरह पहचानती हैं, किससे क्या काम लेना है, किसको कहाँ किस फ्रंट पे लगाना है, और वो शी इज ए गुड लिसनर। वो बात को समझने की कोशिश करने के लिए सामने वाले को सुनती हैं। राहुल गांधी जी और उनके कैंप का प्रॉब्लम यह है कि वो सुनते नहीं।
Interestingly, even Kiran Rijiju is saying today that Priyanka Gandhi listens to us when we talk to her, and she is better in engaging than possibly Rahul Gandhi. But Salman Soos, this is something even Rashid Kidwai has written brilliantly on. This coterie surrounding Rahul Gandhi, he may not be completely at fault, but there is a sense within the Congress party that the coterie surrounding Rahul is leading the party or him astray, and it has become ultra-leftist in its view.
Let me just say that I don't really know what the coterie is. I've been in the party for many years now. I don't know what the coterie is that people talk about, but I can tell you why people say this is a leftist kind of leader. Of course, Rahul Gandhi is a leftist because he says that indigo, the kind of indigo case that happened just recently, it is because monopolies are taking over in India. Of course, Rahul Gandhi is a left-wing person because he says that it is bad for India if you hand over key sectors of the economy to one or two super industrialists, the oligarchs of this country. Of course, he is a leftist that way because he talks about the poorest people in this country, those people whose right to dignity and right to work was taken away by this government. Okay. Those people who were being paid 250 rupees a day, he fights for those people, he talks about those people. Of course he's a leftist. Okay. Because that is what is being said. But let me just say this. I'm a former World Bank staff member, former World Banker. The World Bank is not known for its leftist leanings. The World Bank said that, I'm giving you an example, and I'm, by the way, by that standard, I'm a centrist. The World Bank said that Narega, that we want to protect, that this government has decimated now, was one of the finest examples of development in the world. Okay? That is what Rahul Gandhi wants to protect.
Fair enough. I have limited time, so I'll just give half a minute each to Rashid Kidwai and Shazia Almi. Rashid Kidwai, you go first. This is something you've written about. The coterie that surrounds it, I forget the name or the moniker that you had given, Jagram, or what was it? Please tell us more.
Jai Jagat
coterie, yes.
So there are, of course, civil society people, and Jai Jagat camp is very much visible, as Acharya ji, Pramod Krishna ji was also saying. But the key point, Shivani, we must understand, in any political party that has a dynastic background, there is a shining star among lesser moons. You look at DMK, you look at Samajwadi Party, you look at Akali Dal, you look at RJD, and so is the Congress. So there is one leader, and that is Rahul Gandhi. He is the shining star among lesser moons as far as the Congress is concerned.
Okay. Shazia Almi, final comments on this. Would BJP prefer Priyanka, as Rijiju says?
Salman Soos ji, that the World Bank actually has praised India for its rapid development, particularly in the DPI, digital public infrastructure, and which has led to acceleration of financial inclusion by decades. And it's gone on to say that what Modi has achieved in few years, it would have taken otherwise 47 years for India to achieve. So World Bank is all praised for what India has done.
But you are happy with Rahul, or would you like Priyanka to take over?
Gandhi, I mean, you just see the kind of negative leadership he's provided. And it's not from the BJP point of view. I mean, a lot of people think he's recruiting sergeant. So, but look at what his allies say. Look at how the cadres feel towards him. And now you see the rising chorus of the naysayers where he goes within his party.
Okay, and I have to leave it at that.
10 seconds.
Unfortunately, I've run out of time. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Well, it is, of course, an internal Congress matter, and we'll wait and see if they do anything about this. Thanks a lot for watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Veena Sikri is former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Kanchan Gupta, Senior Advisor of the INB Ministry in India. And also Mohammad Ali Arafat is former Information Minister of Bangladesh with us. Veena Sikri, I begin with you. Many in India wondering, why is India being so soft, if I can use that term, to Bangladesh? Why is India not using its position to come down a little bit harder, given that this is only going from bad to worse in Bangladesh? They're making excuses for what's happening. They're only blaming India for what's happening. And on the other hand, they are acting as if they are on a higher moral ground here by summoning the Indian envoy.
I think India has used a great deal of strategic restraint in dealing with Bangladesh. We have said from the beginning that we're prepared to continue the economic cooperation, and we haven't restricted the trade of goods which the people of Bangladesh use. We strongly believe that India and Bangladesh have a very strong people-to-people relationship, so we don't want to bring in anything that will harm the people of Bangladesh. But let me tell you that there is not only serious concern, but there is actually, as you've seen today, there's popular upheaval against the religion-based killing that has been used in Bangladesh right from the very beginning, from 5th of August onwards.
Yes.
Actually, right from the minute that Sheikh Hasina's plane left Bangladesh, two things came into action immediately. One was the destruction of every memory of the 1971